Good evening and welcome to Going for Two. This is the only YouTube podcast in human record history to feature a male and female host drinking our way through the important topics of the day, as long as they touch the football world and not in that way. I am again Zach Law, and this is Sports by Sharona. Tonight we'll talk about Sharona being right. Wait, that's a good show title. The best rivalry the NFL doesn't want to happen again next year, and football goes to court.
Again.
Sadly, Mike Woellert is unavailable to make it tonight. We'll probably get him next week. We've had a run of having guests on kind of the week after their team plays the Titans, so this will probably work out well. He'll probably be like, "Man, I'm so sad that the Browns won 35-0. I don't know what happened there."
I was kind of looking forward to getting his take on the change back to Deshaun Kaiser, but we'll see how that works out and look forward to hearing from him.
Yeah, I think my intro included that his number of times being on this show is fewer than the number of quarterbacks that have played for the Browns this year, which is kind of a surprise. They've only had two. Yeah, they're bouncing back and forth, but yeah, I wanted to talk about like Titans Browns history, like the year the Titans blew the big lead at home, and I don't even remember what the score was, and I know that Charlie Whitehurst tried a quarterback sneak at the end, and
they gave up like 21 unanswered points. The Titans did to lose that game,
and neither team was good. And then, I mean, last year, Cody Kessler looked like an All-Pro. Well, anybody throwing against Titans looked like an All-Pro last year because he threw for like 300 yards.
I think Derek Morgan got ejected from that game for something really stupid. I mean, not on his part. He shouldn't have been. I mean, if they were going to eject Derek Morgan for that little thing that he did, why they didn't eject Richard Anyway, crazy.
Well, that's one of football's charms, is that you just don't know what's going to happen. It's going to be inconsistent. But Johnny Manziel did beat the Titans 2-3 years ago. I'm trying to think how long ago it's been. But yeah, it's last year. So that was when Hugh Jackson did what Malarkey did last year in the opener. Like they were down 9 and they went for 2, but then they didn't get it, and then they got the onside kick, and they could have, tied on that drive because they went for 2 early. They didn't have a chance, but it was another one of those like Titans are trying to blow it games. But we don't have a Browns fan here, so we don't have to talk about them if we don't want to. We should talk about Monday night. And by the way, in honor of the Monday Night Football victory, I have brought Trader Joe's Vintage Ale, the second oldest beer in my stash, 2014, which is the last year the Titans hosted Monday Night Football. And I have no idea if they won or lost. It kind of doesn't matter. But yeah, it was Monday night, and most of America was confused because they saw the Titans in a primetime game, so they thought it was Thursday. But it wasn't. They're playing the Colts, and they always find a way to lose to the Colts. It had been 2011 the last time they beat them. And that was the Peyton neck injury year. And by the way, they lost to the Colts, which was the Colts' first win of the year, and that's why they didn't make the playoffs that year. And by the way, last year the Titans had a 16-game starting quarterback. But it's okay because Mariota came back.
Matt Hasselbeck.
Both Sharona and I were a little nervous about Mariota starting. I don't know if it's a sign of things changing, but like Steve McNair would not practice all week and he'd play, and everybody was like, he's tough, it's okay. We didn't really think long-term prognosis is as bad for him as is bad for the franchise. But with Mariota, because he's such a McNair's a running quarterback too, but he was a tank. Mariota's a little more of a finesse guy on when he runs, but that's such a part of his game. The threat of him running was big. So the fact that wasn't something that was going to happen, and you saw it all game, like they didn't really roll him out. They, a lot of the times, just had him in shotgun, taking a few steps back and not moving left or right at all. He did once semi-scramble, and he even did the slide move before he even got to the line of scrimmage, which was like, hey, that's a smart move by our quarterback. But ultimately, he came through, and the team Man, they just have this pattern. It's crazy. Like the 3 games they've won, they've struggled on offense in the first half. They kick a bunch of field goals, and then the second half, the offense just comes alive, and then the running game finally gets it going in the fourth quarter. And they put away the victory with Sharona's man, Derrick Henry, doing the kind of thing you want your, hammer running back doing in fourth quarter, which isn't necessarily a staple in the NFL anymore. The Jaguars are trying that with Fournette, but not a lot of teams are doing that. But they got the win. Of course, it involved Jacoby Brissett basically being like half a yard short on a scramble that could have gotten them the tying touchdown. But hey, we got a win. It was a 27-point second half, so they've had 3 wins, and they've scored to 31, I think 21 or 24, and they scored 27. That's good. It's better to finish strong than just to start strong. Anyway, I bet Sharona has thoughts, and not just about former Colt Eric Walden.
Oh, the Eric Walden thing, and that's on my list of things actually to take a look at, but it's not high on my priorities or on my to-do list. I've got an article that should drop tomorrow, hopefully, that I finished last week that talks about quality of play in the National Football. I don't have anything that is Titans-centric at the moment, and I haven't watched film in a couple of weeks. I do intend to watch some of this Monday Night Football game. Yeah, Eric Walden, he's okay. He hasn't been great. He hasn't been terrible, but it's curious to watch how they are using him and when, and how they weren't using Jayon Brown, who I think is the better player, and they certainly have different strengths. But yeah, it's their affinity for Eric Walden is curious to me.
Sometimes for me, it's just a matter of what else do they have. Like Kevin Dodd, I think, has been active once this year.
Yeah,
and clearly
we can label him a bust now, I think, safely.
We're just lucky because the Titans can end their curse and continue their curse at the same time, because usually their second-round picks just suck. Well, it looks like Derrick Henry's good, but they also had the bust in Kevin Dodd, and they had another defensive lineman. Was it Angelo Johnson or something, that pick? I never tell what's happening. We'll just do the Eric Walden thing. So, yeah, he's their kind of third –
they use him
linebacker, and they rotate him. Maybe did they do him as like a defensive end sometimes?
Seen him with he plays close to the line. I don't know that I've seen him play in that. There's usually the Titans have used some interesting defensive fronts, by the way, and I mean they've used some fronts where they've only got like one man with his hand in the dirt, and the rest, standing up. So they're doing a lot of different things. And they're using Eric Walden almost like an extra lineman. But one of the things that sticks out that I remember from watching some film, I mean, they actually had Eric Walden spying Russell Wilson, which, is dumb.
He's the best sticks out. Spy they had, like, is Avery Williams. I mean,
why not Wesley Woodyard? He's having a fantastic year. And, I mean, it's just he would be the last linebacker I would have spying Russell Wilson. Anyway, but they're using him almost like an extra defensive lineman at times, which is interesting.
I mean, one of LeBeau's things is he does like to have different kind of lineups, and there were plays, and there was one where the Colts called a timeout, and I don't even know if one guy was in like a 3-point stance. Like I think everybody was kind of stood up because it was a third down play, and they've been doing that some, and that kind of confuses, especially a younger quarterback. I mean, Jacoby Brissett, this is what his 8th start in his career, and clearly last year Belichick game planned him differently. I don't know if the Titans game planned Cassell differently, and it didn't seem like it.
Castle.
But with the Colts, Castle. I don't know.
You got me saying Colin Kaepernick wrong, so I'm going to be like on you.
Yeah, we'll be getting to him. Yeah, it was nice to see Castle on the sideline. I guess Brandon Whedon stayed in the roster for another week. I suppose if all is good, he'll get the boot.
We didn't really talk enough, though, about Marcus Mariota playing, and he safely, the Titans lived through the Jake Locker era when, when injury would turn into, it was like, it was just an unfortunate series of injuries for him, an unfortunate series of luck for him. And so, the risk that is involved with playing. And I don't remember if Jake Locker ever had a hammy or not. Hammies are just interesting little animals. I mean, Corey Davis is still not healed up from his. And, we saw DeMarco Murray, and he seems to be playing, and he ran hard and played hard through his too. So, it does vary, but I think people were right to be concerned because that is your franchise.
Well, the good sign, because all week it was kind of 50-50 whether he was going to play, and then it was either late Sunday or Monday that it became 60-40, like officially, and then they were like, he's playing on Monday. So I think that was a good sign, just to calm everybody down, not make it a game time decision, because that would have driven everybody crazy. And they clearly, optics wise, they needed this win. It was Monday night, prove this franchise is something. And, the first half was a little iffy. And of course, the second half started with him throwing the pick six, where DeMarco looked like DeMarco was supposed to block the guy, and he really didn't. He just got in front of the guy, and then Mario just threw it right to him.
Yeah.
And there was no way he was going to track him down and tackle him. And I did tweet, and I'm sure many Titans fans tweeted the same thing. I'm like, 19-9, 2 scores. All right. Oh, well, this is done. We're finished. And even though they kept kicking the damn field goals, like they kicked the field goal to make it 19-15, it was like,
if you had
going to come through?
If you own Ryan Suckup, which I do in one league, you're a happy person. At least one. I might have him. Yeah.
Suckup, like
18 points.
He set the record, although they have weird records now. It's like, the most less than 50-yard field goals. Okay, somebody keeps track of that. That's great.
Yeah.
They even have on some of these primetime games like Jay Feely doing kicker analysis. I'm like, man, he makes 6 figures to do that. I'm impressed. Good work. But yeah, he's pretty sure to make those kicks. The only one he missed was an opener against the Raiders, and yeah, it went well. It just was, we've had some of these issues where they've been a little less efficient in the red zone than they have, but they finished with 3 straight touchdowns. They take the lead, and the Colts tie it up, but then they get the touchdown. The Taywan Taylor, Josh Norris is very excited. Josh Norris is a Roto-World who's also in a dynasty league with me. Like, he traded up with me.
I think he tweeted out, "Gadget player my ass," in all caps. So of course I approve. Anybody who does the all caps like me is that's my fam.
You gotta know. Yeah, you can't make it every tweet, but when you know when to sprinkle it on. It's a good thing.
I've chilled on the all caps. I don't think I've done an all caps in a while.
I haven't led you to all caps in a while, but
I've been pretty chill lately. Today I was a little less chill than usual, than normal, but usually I'm pretty chill.
And when the season started, I wanted to make the bold prediction, and I probably mentioned this a few times on the show, that I was like, bold prediction, Taywan Taylor will do better than Corey Davis' rookie year. Well, then once Corey Davis was healthy, I was like, but clearly they're saving Corey Davis, because every week, like 10 minutes after the game is over, they're like, he's out next week. And Cyprien, too. Like, they've totally forgotten about Cyprien.
Searcy has, and I know Cyprien didn't play much anyway, but Searcy's clearly outplayed Jonathan Cyprien, so they're in no hurry to bring him back, and that's fine. And yeah, the Corey Davis thing is interesting, but you're starting to see. Am I freezing up on your end?
No.
Okay, I'm frozen on my end.
I'm frozen on my end.
You're seeing Eric Decker become what people thought that he might. Now, I wasn't sure, exactly where he was going to fit in, but Eric Decker has come along in that offense, and Rashard Matthews, my man Rashard Matthews, has been amazing. I think people are finally coming around on him, and of course, Delaney Walker and and we didn't see him as much, as we had before. But there's still Jonnu Smith. So they'll and they use their backs. I really hope that we'll start to see, and we saw what Derrick Henry can do as a pass catching back. So I hope that we'll start to see more of that.
Yeah, Eric Decker was a guy who was cut in our Scott Fishbowl League. And Scott Fishbowl League is amazingly deep. 22-man rosters, no team D, no kicker. And he was cut, and I probably should have picked him up because
I didn't know that. I would have picked him up.
I keep getting guys on IR like I have. I still have David Johnson, but yeah, Odell Beckham. There's an IR slot in Yahoo, and I put him on there even though he's not coming back just because it feels weird to cut Odell Beckham. And they actually predicted him to score 0.29
I'll cut your ass in a minute. I don't have any. It doesn't matter. I almost cut Mike Evans last week. Fuck him.
Well, my team finally in Yahoo caught up to my injuries, and I had a bad week, but luckily my opponent, Chuck, who was in second place, started Aaron Rodgers. What are you going to do there? He gets hurt.
That's so sad.
4 years. And he started Andre Ellington, which everybody assumed he'd get a lot of receptions. And dumbass I am, I could have traded for Adrian Peterson, but no.
I picked up Adrian Peterson, but I put him on my bench.
It was a bad week for running backs. I mean, for a while, I was going to start Javorius Allen
for Derrick Henry
and Alex Collins. Yeah, Derrick Henry, I got him like in 2 leagues, so that didn't go so well. But
I started him.
Derrick Henry leads the Titans in rushing now.
I started him as Scotty Fishbowl and still ended up losing, and I don't know. That was a tough loss for me because I was sure I was going to win. I didn't really. The only nominally bad decision that I made was starting Jordan Reed over Austin Hooper. I guess I could have played 2 tight ends, but my wide receiver, I got decent points from everyone. I just got outscored, and then those are the ones that kill you.
I just had a bad week, although strangely, like this is the year I've paid less attention to fantasy than any other year. And my 3 teams that I have to start lineups every week, I'm like 14-4. I'm doing really badly in my MFL 25s. I probably shouldn't have joined so many of them because I'm doing so badly. I know I'm not doing on our auction, but I kind of deserve since I, passed out midway through the draft.
Yeah.
But hey, I got Chris Ivory. Maybe, Fournette's hurt this week, and it's not happening.
I had forgotten.
Davis Johnson was my highest paid guy, so clearly fantasy karma. I don't know. There's Cabo Cove. I'll never remember how to pronounce it.
Cabot. I had forgotten about my draft night, our auction draft night. I had forgotten about my rant about the defense, which has been prophetic and true, until Lisa reminded me last week.
Yeah, what do you think about the defense? Because they looked pathetic in the first half, but they adjusted well in the second half. But I still think, like with the Colts, like Chuck Pagano, like it seems like he wants to get fired.
Yeah, I mean,
I went to sleep. I went to sleep one Sunday night, and it was Colts 15, Seattle 10, and I almost watched the second half the next morning, and I just looked at the score, and it was like 46-18. Like the Seattle just blasted them in the second half, and the Titans did the same thing, although they came pretty close to going overtime when it comes.
The Colts coaching staff is awful, and I felt really badly for Jacoby Brissett, who's a better quarterback than what he's showing, because they are bad. And the Titans did make some adjustments, but the second half was Colts offensive ineptitude more than anything else. And so it's far too early to say that the Titans defense, and I do think that their cornerbacks are getting a little bit better, but it's far too soon. But the rest of they face the Browns this week. Their defense should be fine, and I'd have to look at the schedule. I know that the Steelers are on it. How they're going to handle the Steelers wide receivers is going to be interesting.
Well, they were showing the Titans' schedule the rest of the year, and the teams they have left with a winning record are the Steelers with that Thursday night game, which from the beginning of the year was going to be tough. And the other team they're playing, that has a winning record on the rest of their schedule. I wonder if Sharona can get it.
Wait, what? Oh, the Texans?
The Titans. Who is left of the Titans play that has a winning record right now?
I said the Texans. The Texans don't have a winning record?
They are 3-3.
Oh.
It's the Rams.
Oh, okay.
I thought it was the Cardinals, but they don't. I guess they must be at 500 or something. But the Titans don't have a tough schedule going the rest of the year, but they're not. The Colts are probably one of the 5 worst teams in the NFL right now. So for the Titans to beat them, I mean, it's a divisional game, and they haven't beaten them in a while.
They haven't beaten them there like ever, have they? I don't think they've won in that stadium, and I don't think that they'll win this year in that stadium. So,
yeah, the rest of they'll have the Texans come there. But by the way, this is a weird stat. Like when I was looking at the Titans and the fact that they kicked a bunch of field goals, the only time the Titans have scored multiple touchdowns in the first half was when they lost 57-14 to the Texans. Once Mariota got hurt, but the defense was so bad that day. They were consistently bad.
Mm-hmm.
They've been consistently bad, but they were not consistently bad. That was the thing. Like Logan Ryan seems like he's more of a slot kind of guy, and he managed to cover T.Y. Hilton pretty well. And Adoree Jackson, which was kind of a down thing for my Dynasty League because I start him because I figure he's going to get targeted a lot as a defensive back. And I think he only gave up like 2 or 3 catches.
Well, I mean, imagine this game if Jack Doyle doesn't just completely crap out and drop. How many balls did he drop? 3, 4? I mean, easily 3.
Well, he did fumble, and then he had the other one that was a fumble, and then it was called back. And, yeah, that was
it's a completely different football game.
The ex-Titan.
So people forget that.
Yeah, they don't remember when the Titans get a turnover. Yeah, this week in the League of Funk, I have done what I've done. This is like, what is this? This is week 7. So this is like the 6 out of 7 weeks that I have picked up the defense playing the Browns. I picked up the Titans this week, so we'll see. Is that something that was amazingly consistent watching the Browns? Like when I was watching the Red Zone channel, when they played the Jets, they had like 3 turnovers inside the 10-yard line. They just turned the ball over like crazy. So hopefully. And isn't it weird that like they gave Kenny Britt all that money and then Kenny Britt decided to stop like making an effort? It was weird. Do I pour one out for Kenny Britt or is it for Aaron Rodgers? It's for Aaron Rodgers.
Let's do it for Aaron Rodgers.
I mean, they were talking about the team in the NFL that had the biggest
I should have worn.
drop.
I've got a jersey. I've got one of his jerseys that still has all the tags and everything. I got it for my birthday a few years ago.
So is that the milk stout you're drinking tonight?
I am drinking a Bach. It's Bachtober.
All right, you had your Bach.
Happy Bachtober.
Yeah, I need to get the Sierra Nevada Oktoberfest because they always like basically hire like a German company to do their Oktoberfest. And it was pretty good. And by the way, I was at a brewery last night with the wife, and it was a literary event. So it was for both of us. It was a beer event for me and a literary event for her. Although the literary event is all right. It was called Literary Karaoke. So what the idea was is guy had a microphone and people were supposed to read from books and the theme was monsters. So it was kind of like a Halloween theme. But it was this big warehouse space. Every brewery is in like a big warehouse, abandoned or otherwise. And the sound just wasn't very good. So we couldn't really hear the people talk. But they had really good beer, by the way.
Well, that's good.
They had a, I'm trying to remember the name of the beer, but it was a stout aged in rum barrels with coconut and vanilla. And, you know, that's my jam right there. It was a bunch of, they had crazy beers. You know, they had the bourbon barrel Scotch ale, but they put cherries in there and they soured it. Oh, it was good. But what I like about the new rules in Georgia is you can buy like little pours. So I had like 4 ounce, little mini glasses so I could try a bunch of different stuff. But it was good. And I think I'm going to do something wild and crazy that I haven't done in a while is actually post to my blog and do like brewery reviews.
You wild and crazy fella.
We'll be in Nashville this weekend. I'm not pretty good chance we won't get to a brewery, but we will. We'll have a good time. We're going to Nashville because we are going to see the Foo Fighters. This is the third time we've seen them, fourth time.
Oh, that'll be fun.
And they're playing at Bridgestone, which is the Predators' home, on Monday night. I don't think we knew that was happening, so I'm actually taking a couple of days off work. It's nice. So I'll probably be in Chattanooga on Sunday for the Titans game. I was talking to Wyatt. I was like, if I watch the Titans Sunday with like your dad and then you hang out with your mom, then you don't have to watch football. And so that was a selling point right there. Because even though it's somebody's birthday, I still want to watch Titans. It's bad, right? I mean, they are playing the Browns.
Yep.
All right, ex-lawyer, or are you still technically a lawyer?
No.
No? Okay. So the Zeke Elliott case continues. So he was supposed to, the suspension was back on, and now it's off for this week. What's the latest there? What have we been hearing?
Well, it's interesting because I haven't delved into all the legal documents, but I know enough about it to talk about it. And I said from the get-go that it was going to get dismissed in Texas because they filed prematurely. The court down there didn't have jurisdiction over the matter. And the NFL, after the arbitration the decision came down, I'm pretty sure they did file. They filed their own actions. So, of course, that's where the NFLPA has gone to pursue, their whatever they intend to pursue. And right now, what they're trying to do is get a stay while a decision is rendered on the merits. In order to get a stay, and they filed for a TRO, which has been granted. They don't have to, generally speaking. They are not generally speaking. Sometimes they are because of the irreparable harm aspect of it. So it'll get stayed until there's a hearing on whether the injunction or the stay would remain in effect while the merits of the case are being decided. And so there's a hearing set on that, I'm sure. That has to be done within 14 days. And so they'll have a hearing on that to see, and that'll revolve around likelihood on the merits and some other little incidental things. So we'll see how that transpires, and then I assume that they'll go through the process, whether or not the stay is granted or not. They'll probably go through the process. If there's no stay, it'll be interesting because, Tom Brady, and I assume that they'll pursue that all the way up. Whatever side wins will pursue that all the way up. Tom Brady stopped after he lost at the circuit level, and I believe his was in the Ninth Circuit. After it got to the Ninth Circuit, he did not try and take his. His case probably wouldn't have gone up anyway. But by that time, his suspension is served, and it's kind of a moot point. So that could happen here. We'll have to see.
Yeah, it just seemed like, based on my layman terms, that it seemed like they were going to find a way to push it and make it something that gets decided in the off season, kind of like, because the Tom Brady thing, it took a year, right?
Took a good while. Mm-hmm.
And I mean, they determined it was kind of close to the season. I feel like there was like a month or two, but yeah, I don't know. And of course, Dallas isn't doing very well, but Dallas is doing well in one aspect. So Jerry World is going to host the 2018 NFL Draft.
Amazing how that happens, isn't it? Even though Philadelphia had actually been promised another year.
I thought Philadelphia did a great job, and it sounded like, I guess they want to rotate it. I mean, they're never going to have it in Nashville, but they're definitely going to rotate it kind of like a Super Bowl thing, like give it to big cities. And
Well, I'm sure that they do want to rotate it, but Philadelphia got screwed because of Jerry Jones.
Oh boy, that weird Jerry Jones relationship. Like he gets in the Hall of Fame.
I want to know what
He's buddy.
besides the money and Roger Goodell's contract and other things. I want to know. There's no telling how much money he's paid to get some of the things that he's gotten.
You think based on recent events in our country that like the rich guys in the back room making deals kind of stuff, you think that era might be coming to an end, but not for a while.
Well, it's certainly not going to come to an end until after this next CBA is decided. And
that's right. When's that coming up? Is that 5 years? Is that
20? It's starting now. It comes up in the deal itself expires in 2021.
Okay, so it was a 10-year deal from the last deal. Okay, yeah, we'll see. We shall see. And of course,
I don't know if there's any. I'll have to look. I don't know if there's any opt-out provisions where it might happen earlier. I'll have to look.
So Colin Kaepernick does.
Kaepernick.
Is it? I've heard both. Have an easier to pronounce name, people. Zach Law, easy. Come on. No, it's not. It's not really your fault. So he did that, and it wasn't through a union lawyer. It was his own personally hired lawyer. And it's interesting because people have been talking for a while, like he sucks. Like he had a horrible year last year. Like he was Blaine Gabbert. Oh wait, Blaine Gabbert's on our roster. Like he was just awful last year. And then all of a sudden he does this, and it's like, oh no, this is going to keep him from getting back in the NFL. It's like, isn't that kind of the point? Like he knows that his NFL career is probably over, even though like quarterbacks get hurt every single week. I'm like, how many mediocre white backups are sitting around waiting to be picked up by teams? I mean, I feel like the Titans got the last one, and Brandon Weeden, who's left.
Yeah, they'll be going down to the local grocery store looking for the next Kurt Warner.
I mean, I guess because most NFL teams only keep 2 on their roster, but I guess the Packers had 2 guys. They took Brett Hundley, and by the way, Matt Waldman, we love Matt Waldman. He does that RSP, the rookie scouting portfolio, every year. And the year that Mariota was a rookie, he actually had Brett Hundley ranked ahead of him. So Brett Hundley has actually been with the Packers for, I believe this is his 3rd year. And of course, Aaron Rodgers
Could he be the next Aaron Rodgers?
Aaron Rodgers got 3-4 years before he became a starter full time. So maybe this does work out, although it's so tough. Like it's very there's no position in the NFL like quarterback. Like it's the offense for the Packers is around Aaron Rodgers and his skill set. And I don't think anybody else in the NFL has that because he's good.
He's hashtag
like
good.
Brett Hundley has the running, passing ability, and he showed that in college. He just has been on the bench. And it's very unlikely that a guy's going to come in off the bench and look good.
Seriously though, Aaron Rodgers plays the quarterback position, I think, better than anyone in the history of football. He's so good.
He just played so well, and it's unfortunate that he's only gotten to win 1 Super Bowl because, he was able to kind of will his team past the Cowboys last year. And then once they got to the Falcons, they had no defense at all. And there was no way it was going to happen. Like every year they get to the playoffs and then something happens and they lose. But there's just some players that even if you're a fan of like the Vikings, you still kind of like root for this guy. And for him to be off is a sad time indeed. I mean, I was looking at the guys who are hurt and it was like all these guys are in commercials or hurt. Like J.J. Watt's out for the year. Aaron Rodgers is gone. Why is Clay Matthews still not injured? Odell Beckham is done. He does all those commercials. Like David Johnson, I don't know, he had like 1 commercial, but he got hurt like in week 1. So they're saying like the top receiver, quarterback, running back, defensive lineman in the NFL are injured. So is that going to be like an issue for the NFL in ratings in that their stars are hurt more than this national anthem crap,
Yeah, it's interesting.
It's interesting, Sharona says. Come on, that's all you got. And you're wearing green in honor of Rogers, right?
Yeah, I'm wearing my
Yeah,
Snoopy.
sure.
I'm wearing my Snoopy T-shirt.
Ah,
Snoopy, hang on, Snoopy. So yeah, uh, the commercials and the licensing and all of that thing is interesting. We'll have to circle back around and talk about this, and maybe in a couple of weeks when I'm able to share a few more thoughts. I don't want to reveal too much because
mm,
I don't want to reveal anything I may or may not be working on. Aaron Rodgers is his loss is going to be huge for the Packers and their defense. I'll never forget. And coincidentally, it was Colin Kaepernick. Dom Capers, the Packers defensive coordinator, infamously admitted that he didn't prepare for the read option or any of the things that Colin Kaepernick did at that time did well, and so that's how the Packers lost that playoff game, and then they lost to them in the regular season. I think same way.
yeah, I remember that because that was like a read option thing. Like the cornerbacks are playing man, so the cornerbacks were back to the quarterback. So once he started running, they wouldn't see him running. And of course, I'm moving my arm behind the camera, and he would just go. And then the defensive backs were like, "Oh shit, I better turn around and tackle him." And Kaepernick he's just a tall guy, and he's got a good stride going. Apparently, this is shocking. Breaking news: Don Funk has sent some questions, so we'll see if you want to answer
Sure.
Don's questions.
Hi, Don.
I feel like he's asked some of these before, but we'll see. We'll go with it. We'll roll.
Are we doing it over it or not tonight?
Well, I'll have to come up with some on the fly. I figure Don asks Sharona questions. Let's try that.
Okay, we'll do that.
If it, well, see if it fails. Nothing fails on this show. We just talk and have a good time. So, all right, question one. Well, this was week one when the second Monday night game had the female announcer. Dawn said, hearing her made me want to watch more intensely. What are your thoughts on women doing play-by-play? Because that happened once in the NFL this year, and there's
Twice.
some that,
She did. She
twice?
didn't. Yeah, she did another one for CBS, a Sunday game, the next weekend. And maybe after that, I haven't necessarily kept up with it, but I think it's great.
And with so much college football, there are more opportunities, but
yeah,
there aren't that many that get a chance.
Well, I mean, women don't get. We're not viewed as peers. We're just viewed as decoration mostly, and or not even that sometimes if you don't happen to be nominally attractive. So yeah, it's interesting. I called a college football game once over the radio. That was fun, and I would definitely love to do it again. But those opportunities don't grow on trees.
We missed an opportunity Monday night. We could have done a little faux play-by-play for the game.
Yeah, I tried to get you to rabble with me, and you wouldn't.
Really? I didn't rabble. What was I downstairs? I was trying to. It's weird, like because I got rid of my cable package, so I don't have ESPN. So I have but my carrier shows the game, so it's like on my phone. So I'm like carrying my phone, running through the house, like watching the game that way. It's weird. So while I'm doing that, I'm not looking at Twitter. Although Sunday afternoon, it's like, yeah, I have the TV on, I have my phone on, and then I have my computer so I can tweet. That's the triple trouble. And then I lost my camera. There it is. So question 2 from Dawn. Why are so many kickers whiffing on extra points? Don't they practice in their sleep? You have one job. All kickers should be error-free? I don't know.
Yeah.
Dawn.
That is rather interesting. And kicking expertise is definitely down throughout the league. And I'm certainly not a kicking expert, but I have something coming out, hopefully tomorrow, that's kind of nominally about that might address that. We're seeing some areas where players aren't being developed or aren't being coached to their potential, and I think kicking is certainly one of them.
Well, Adam Vinatieri kicked a couple like long field goals, and Adam Vinatieri is the only NFL player who is older than me, and he made these like 50-yard field goals like no big deal, and he missed an extra point.
Who knows?
And that became, well, it wasn't key at the end, but at the time, when it was kind of close, it made a difference in the game.
Mm-hmm.
All right, here we go. Dawn Funk question 3. Imagine going into a game and facing Brady. Your mind as an opposing quarterback would have to hope this game is score balanced and not another 40-something game. How would you control your game face? I would love, there are things I would pay money to do. But Sharona, facing off with Brady at the 50-yard line before a game, I feel like that's something that would be worth the price of admission.
As a quarterback, how would I control my game face if I were facing Tom Brady? I would not. That's exactly how I would do it. I don't control my game face anyway. Well, I do sometimes. I shouldn't say that. But I would love to meet Tom Brady at the 50-yard line and have a conversation with him.
Be like, hey, can I talk to your wife? Because she's got this business expertise at the roof.
No, I would be all like, let's talk about Ballgate.
Oh, yeah. Did you really deflate? No one's listening. Go ahead and tell me. Just me. I promise I won't share with anybody. Nobody. Yeah, we should give that a moment. So I started Austin Safarian-Jenkins in our Yahoo League. And he caught a pass at the end of the game against the Patriots, and he crossed the goal line, but as he was crossing the goal line, the ball slightly shifted in his hands, and because that happened, he didn't get a touchdown, then he get the ball at the goal line. It was a touchback because they call it a fumble because the NFL has weird rules, and it broke my heart just because I would have scored more fantasy points, but it also gave the Patriots a win against the Jets that was shockingly close. So, I don't know. Did you get to see that play?
I completely missed that, so I'm sorry.
I thought you NFL'd. Yeah, I didn't, I actually took a nap in the afternoon, so I missed some of the games. Let's see. I think I have one more of them, Don, although I have to reboot here. Yeah, boy. Question 4. So many players ending up on IR from a defensive player driving them literally through the turf. Can you not tackle effectively without hugging? And that's like 2 Gs all the way down. Thoughts? I'm not for wimpy ball, but come on, guys.
It's an interesting question because I definitely think that there has to be a balance, but I also think that the laws of physics apply, and sometimes it's the one that comes to mind, and I haven't looked at it that closely, but I've seen it enough that I'll talk about it, is the Mike Mitchell play on Alex Smith. Was he tripped into him? Did he deliberately go for? And you have to remember that it's a lot of times it's bang bang, split, but that also these guys do have some amazing control over their bodies. I mean, we've seen that, particularly with wide receivers and then even, defensive players and what have you. I do think that you don't have to perfect on a play, but we also have to be cognizant that this is not touch football. I mean, this is not flag football, that it is. It's a physical tackling league, and sometimes they look worse on camera than maybe they are.
Yeah, I've noticed players not going high because they'll get the penalty and they go low, and that'll
there was a report
hurt players' knees.
There was a report that Larry Fitzgerald would pay opposing defenders to go high on him and not to go low because he didn't want a season-ending lower leg injury, he was willing to accept the long-term risk.
I mean,
I found that interesting.
I've seen like a receiver catches a ball across the middle and then he ducks his head at the last second and then the guy gets the helmet penalty. And in college, you can get kicked out for that.
The NFL had a very short-lived, I don't know if it was a codified rule but there was a very short time period where they were going to penalize. And the Titans, Jackie Battle, actually fell victim to this terrible penalty call where...
Oh, the running back, like, ducking his head thing, which happens a lot, I think.
Yeah. It's a defensive mechanism. I mean...
Yeah, it's something you're going to do automatically. Well, let's, since we don't have a guest tonight, this is, over it or nah.
Yeah?
Over it or nah, South Carolina fans wearing T-shirts to the Tennessee game saying, please keep Butch Jones.
Why not? Troll your boat gently down the stream.
So that's Will Muschamp's, 6th straight win over Tennessee?
He owns Butch Jones. Butch Jones is his daddy.
Yeah. And it's like, there's one thing that I know about sports is the exact dollar amount that Tennessee owes Butch Jones in a buyout by week because it gets posted online.
It's crazy.
So this week, Missouri played Georgia, and the last two times Missouri's played at Georgia, they played them close, but Georgia was favored by 28.5. I thought that was kind of a borderline thing, and Georgia won by 25. But this week, sadly, the 3rd October, it's Tennessee versus Alabama, and Alabama they must be at home. They're favored by 34.5.
It's going to be a butt whooping. It's just, I don't even plan to watch it.
But it's going to be like the CBS 2:30 game, right? Because the SEC's kind of...
Well, even more reason, because that is the worst crew in college football, and I'm so beyond... It's terrible, and I'm so beyond it, and I don't want to deal with it ever again.
Well, I haven't watched much college football because I don't have cable, really. I've just the normal channels, and there always seems to be one game, and it is Notre Dame and Ohio State. It's just, ugh. So I don't get to see much of college football. I get to kind of hear about it. So when did they change the rule? It used to be Friday night belonged to high school. This week, Clemson played on Friday night. Washington played on Washington State. When did all these college games happen on Friday night? Because I don't really remember it. And I don't think the SEC doesn't participate, but it seems like everybody else does.
Well, they have, and the Vols played on Thursday night. Was it last year?
They've done Thursday. Yeah, they don't do it every week, but
this is not new. They've had
it's been
Thursday and
a few years.
And then I think later on, isn't there a Wednesday night game?
Yeah, they've had MAC games on Tuesday and Wednesday. It's can we get a night of football? No, we can't get a night of football. Because, Thursday night next tomorrow. And that was the question as I listened to, I think it was the Ringer NFL podcast. Is anyone actually good in the NFL this year? Because Kansas City was the last undefeated team, and the Steelers had not looked good the week before, and the Steelers handled them pretty well. But for some reason, it's all of a sudden Andy Reid's oh, it's the playoffs. Let me be a bad coach. That's just what happened, I guess.
Oh, I guess I missed that. I should probably, anyway.
You missed something?
Well,
being mad on Twitter? Is that what's going on?
No, I've been writing. I'm working on a multi-part series article, and I did not realize that Kansas City had lost. But anyway.
So, over it or not, me continuing to send you articles about Andrew Luck's health.
You haven't done that
I know. I've been going, I've been, what is it? I've been going high. I haven't been going low.
Oh, you haven't done that in a while.
I don't want to take out your knees. Come on, you got a career to think about.
You haven't done that in a while, and besides, I have 4 quarterbacks now in Scotty Fishbowl, so
Well,
I'm
we got Jay
okay.
Cutler of the winning Miami Dolphins. Of course, you're good.
I've got Mitchell too. So I
Mitchell.
have Carson Wentz, Mitchell. I've got 3 starting quarterbacks and Andrew Luck. And I don't expect Andrew Luck to play at all this year. I dropped him in another league. He got auto drafted to me, so I've moved on. Basically, I'm not going to drop him in Scotty Fishbowl. Just why? Why? I don't need the roster spot yet. I mean, if I run into, I will, but I'm good.
Yeah, it's weird because it really is like a meeting in the middle because, I mean, the Browns are really bad. We'll see this week against Titans if they can pull off a W. But there does seem to be a lot of teams in the middle. Shockingly, when people were showing like a draft order, like Oakland was in the top 10, I'm like, that Oakland team that dominated the Titans and then like they've done nothing since. But
Yeah.
Derek Carr does not look good. And man, Amari Cooper, Amari Cooper has something like 60 yards receiving in the last 4 weeks. It's crazy.
Okay, so I was wrong, but I was actually saying that I thought Derek Carr was a candidate for MVP. He looked very good early on, but yeah, and I saw fantasy people already saying that you can drop Marshawn Lynch now.
Well, Carr was cut in our Yahoo league, but it's a 1 quarterback league, so there are lots of guys on waivers, and he got picked up. But yeah, it's sad that I am so borderline despondent because Deshaun Watson, who's been my quarterback, is on a bye week. I'm like, oh no,
Oh,
who did I have to pick up this week to start in his place? Blake
Josh McCown.
Bortles.
Oh no.
Playing the Colts. But you've noticed the Jaguars, when they win, he throws for like 100 yards and does nothing because that's what they want. And we'll see because the Colts, I have no idea. Like the AFC South, so the Titans are in first, I think, tiebreakers. So they have first place, oddly enough. But everybody's pretty evenly mediocre. But it's the Colts, it's the Browns this week. I don't know who they play next week. I should know more.
You should.
Thank you.
Welcome.
It's a first and last. So you kind of rooting for Fitzmagic to start for his 7th different NFL franchise this Sunday and Winston take a week off?
Of course.
Of course, Winston's like the first quarterback I drafted in Scott Fishbowl. He's been terrible. I mean, the Buccaneers have been kind of under the radar and not good, and maybe Dirk Coder isn't #good. Kind of reminds me of the Missouri coach. Maybe was promoted a little prematurely, yeah. And Dirk Cutter's had some, history. #history.
Yes. He definitely has history.
Uh-huh.
Couldn't happen to a nicer fella.
I bet. Speaking of nicer fellas.
I almost cut Mike Evans, who I adore on, one level. But because, fuck the Bucks, and I don't want to cheer for them.
True. This probably isn't an over it or nah subject, but I'll bring it up like it is an over or nah subject. What are your thoughts on #MeToo?
Yeah, so I missed that originally. I was sick over the weekend and not online much, and didn't watch football. That's how I missed Kansas City. I didn't watch football on Sunday. Hardly at all. I might have watched like maybe 30 minutes. I didn't watch much at all. I did watch Monday Night Football because of the Titans, but so I wasn't online and I missed all that. But I'm not sorry because you have to remember I've been talking about this for years. And I'm glad that things are more open anyway, and more women are talking about it and coming forward and everything. But I took the abuse. I took I had men coming after me all the time talking about I'm biased. My opinion's invalid. All this kinds of stuff. And, you know, I've, you know, at some point it becomes important to take care of yourself. And would I have participated in that? Probably not, even if I had been aware of it. I mean, I would have supported the women who did. And today it just dawned on me, you know, I went back and found a couple of podcasts that I did back in 2015 where I talked about some of the things that had happened to me. Some of the other things, some of the worst things I haven't yet shared with very many people at all. I've tried to write about it. Am I ready to share it yet? I don't know. I think I'm getting there. I think I'm getting closer. But I think that is a good thing, to answer the question. I think it's a good thing. And I'm so happy to see so many women. Of course, I'm sad that they have stories to tell that means that they're coming forward. But as a victim and a survivor, I can tell you that it absolutely does help to read it and go, wow, that happened to me. And to hear another woman say that she had the same self-doubt and the same emotional reactions and the same response from her friends, from her close friends, and, you know, the same people who ignored and let it happen. So, you know, in that sense, it helps to be part of a community where you know that you're not alone.
Yeah, I think it's definitely important these days to support people when they tell these stories and not try to be the traditional, like, doubter, because we do doubt a lot these days, but that's one reason why people don't go forward. You ask, like, why do more women not come forward? And you see the reactions to some, I mean, it's the typical internet reaction, but there's some negative reactions to it. And then it's like, well, you see why. You think you, like, bring up the most personal thing that's happened to you in your life, and then someone, like, blasts you for it. Clearly that you feel like you can't do it and you're not safe to do it. And you have to give credit to the people who do it. Get out there. And Me Too, I believe, is a 10-year-old thing too. It's not like brand new, but it became a thing.
Or to do it and to have people search through your past to try to find things to invalidate you as a person and a storyteller. You know, and that happens too. And those people suck, and fuck them.
Yeah. Fuck them. Fuck them. Well, it's 9 o'clock. We're going to get Mike on next week to talk Aftermath, and maybe he'll give us some IDP advice as well. And we'll see. Did he get the new Super Nintendo Classic? Because I haven't even looked and seen, but I've
got my fingers crossed that I may very, very, very soon be in the possession of a PS4.
Uh-oh. Next level.
So
we're going to have another weekend of you playing that and me going, what are you doing again? What's going on there? Who are you shooting with lasers?
Lisa London, who was on last week, plays Destiny, and so do some of our other buddies. And I'm like, want to, because I have an Xbox. She's on PS4, and I anyway, yeah, I'm having buddies to play with is good.
'Tis true. Oh, it's a little delayed. So, what do you got happening, Sharona, show-wise, post-wise?
Well, we were talking today about doing a podcast, and I really am getting, I really am kind of getting the itch again. It's been a good break, and I've enjoyed it. And my podcast was so beneficial for me because I was able to talk about, a lot of the things that we talked about tonight, and to get a lot of things off my chest, even though I didn't necessarily go into too much detail. But if and when I do come back to podcast, it's going to be different. It's going to be more fun and different. So anyway, tuned for that. And of course, you can find me on Twitter at Sports by Sharona, and find my work at Our Turf Football. We're on the AFC coordinator, and at Inside the Pylon.
Excellent.
Website, Back Talk with Sharona.
Back Talk with Sharona.
Actually, I'm going to have a new Twitter handle soon, so stay tuned for that.
Oh, new Twitter handle. I'll be ahead of you on one Twitter handle finally. Woo! Yeah, so Zach_Law on Twitter if you want to keep track of me. And if you really want to hear me talk more, look up the Zach Religion cast, because I'm going to be doing another show in about 10 minutes or so. So, yeah, I'm going to keep talking. So thanks, everybody, again. And as we like to say, good night. And I think Terrell Owens said it first. Kiss my grits.